Hi, hello. Good afternoon, wherever you're joining us from. Good morning, good evening, in whatever part of the world you are. But where I am right now, it's morning. I want to say a very big thank you and welcome to you. So, where are you joining us from? We're in Nigeria, Abuja, Port Harcourt, Lagos, Lafia, or you're joining us in Cameroon, Uganda, Ghana. So wherever it is that you're joining us from, please let me know. Europe, the US, just let me know in the comment uh, section here. I love to interact always. Thank you. Happy New Year. This is our first edition of 30 minutes of dyslexia with Blessing Ingyape this year, right? And I've missed you all, and I'm happy to be here. Okay, like we have just 30 minutes, so I like to go straight to the point. And I've also written down all I need to talk about so that I don't talk beyond 30 minutes. All right, thank you. Okay, we'll have people join us from Lagos, from Benue State. Thank you. Although I can't see your name because there's this funny thing that StreamYard does, you have to give it permission. So there's a link attached to this video if you're watching on Facebook. Yeah, I don't think it's attached on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, there's a link attached. So if you'd like me to know your name, which I would prefer, because I prefer to call you by your name, and we can communicate more. All right, welcome. So happy to have all of you here. Mrs. Yinkere, thank you so much for joining us. So today we're talking about homeschooling children with dyslexia, what it really looks like. I mean, a lot of kids have not had a stable learning since the whole pandemic started. They're back to school today, they are going back tomorrow. And especially if you are here in Nigeria, where most parents don't even like online learning. I mean, so some kids haven't even been in school for a while. And then, even for parents that love online learning, even for schools, it was like a new experience for them. So, some schools were just trying to patch up, were just experimenting. So, the truth is that if you talk about half of last year, most kids missed school because it was rushed. You can tell that all of those exams were rushed. It was more of, let's just finish this exam. Okay, I went off for a while, but am I back? Can you hear me? Or was I even still here? 'Cause I don't know what's happening. But I'm happy to be back. Okay. All right. Thank you all for joining us. So when we talk, I was talking about everything that has happened in the academic world last year, all because of the pandemic. And just when we thought now that we're in 2021, things are going to get better. We still have issues of school resuming or schools not resuming and all of that. So all of this makes you wonder, should I homeschool my child? Because the truth is that for families who are homeschooling their kids, you know that the pandemic didn't affect their learning, right? Because school was right at home. So school continued despite the pandemic. If you're outside Nigeria, especially in Europe or in the USA, homeschooling is not something you're really wondering if it will work or not, because there are already platforms there and laws and rules that actually allow it better. I know it's depends on the state. Every state has their own law based on homeschooling. But I'm going to be focusing to this session basically here in Nigeria because it is something that we are not used to. There are a lot of people, interestingly, a lot of people homeschool their kids. Of course, not the percentage is not high, but a lot of parents homeschool their kids. And if you have a child with dyslexia, there are some parents who reached me and during the pandemic, they were like, see, my child's school is offering online learning, but I know that it won't work for my child because even when it wasn't online, it was quite hard. So how much more now that is online? And that is very true. And we're going to talk about all of these things. Let me start from the beginning, just for the benefit of doubt. You're wondering, what is homeschooling? Homeschooling is home education. You can call it home education, just the same way it is school at home. Okay, it means you're having school at home. All right, you're teaching your child at home. Your child is having school at home, just the same way uh, it happens in school. But right now, it means that it is happening at home. Either you or a tutor is teaching that child. So it is not, homeschooling is not a word that you need to decode or unveil. Home, school, school at home, education at home. So the whole curriculum of whatever it is that they are learning in school will be the same thing your child will be learning at home. The only difference is that the setting has changed. Okay, so is homeschooling only for parents? So you might be wondering that, okay, if I'm going to homeschool now, does it mean it's only parents that homeschool? Does it mean that it's only parents that will teach the kids at home? Let me put it that way. No, it doesn't have to. Homeschooling can either be you, the parent, teaching, or a tutor teaching. I know a Facebook friend who homeschools her children. If you know her, ZOB, ZEEOBI, ZOB. And then I have a friend who also homeschools children. There is this particular family, she's an educator, and there is this particular family that she homeschools. So when you talk about homeschooling, I know some parents already go, oh my God, I wasn't born to be a teacher. So now I'm going to sit down and start teaching and start teaching my children. I am not an educator. No, homeschooling doesn't necessarily mean that you as the parent must teach it. Okay, you as a parent will be the teacher. You can have a tutor come in and homeschool. So educators, you can see that there's another niche for you to go into. Usually as a dyslexia expert, I also love to talk to educators, especially in Nigeria, about the opportunities that are open out there for them to add value and then receive increase of finances. So if right now during the pandemic things didn't work well with your school, things didn't work well where you're working, salaries weren't paid and all of that, homeschooling is something you should look out for. You can be a homeschool teacher. Lots of parents right now want their kids homeschooled, but the thing now is that we don't have specialists. If you're called right now to homeschool a child, do you know the curriculum of grade 1, grade 2, grade 3? Can you confidently sit down and teach English, teach biology, teach home economics? Can you do all of that depending on that child's curriculum? So in the 21st century, this is another skill as a teacher that you should look out for. You can say, oh, I only teach this subject. Oh, I only teach that subject. If you want to stand out in the 21st century, if you want to stand out this year, that's another part to look out for. Homeschooling. Okay, you can be a homeschooling expert. I mean, you have so many clients. Schools are resuming on Monday, but most families are still not comfortable, about it at all. Especially families that have lost loved ones during the pandemic. They won't want their kids to go out again. So they will do all that they can to get someone who can homeschool their children. Okay? So is it okay to homeschool a child with dyslexia? Very okay. As a matter of fact, research says that's even the best for them. I've, I offer classroom support for children with dyslexia, and usually over 90% of the schools cannot offer services for these kids. They cannot meet the needs of these kids. Mm-mm. I have a child who, what I meant to offer is reading intervention. But usually when I go there and during our one-on-one classes, I have to look into her other subjects too that she has been taught. I bring these subjects, I open her notes, I explain it step by step, show her pictures, okay? Make it very real for her. So you can see that she's in a regular school. She was in the classroom when all of that was taught. But I had to teach it again to her on her level. So you can see that when you talk about homeschooling for children with dyslexia, it is even perfect. It is the most recommended, especially in a setting like ours here in Nigeria, where schools don't really have the resources for these children. Most schools don't even know what dyslexia is. Most schools don't even know what dyslexia is. So you can see that when you talk about that, homeschooling is actually the best for them. It is the best for them. So you might now be wondering, but can homeschooling work in Nigeria? I mean, you might say, oh, Blessing, this thing you're talking about is Oibo. Homeschooling cannot work in this country. But remember, I just said that we have people currently who are homeschooling their kids. We have parents who are homeschooling their kids. Okay? And we also have educators who are homeschooling people's kids. So while you're here wondering that, is that even possible? We have families and educators out there who are already doing this. So that already proves that it is very, very possible. Okay, like I said, outline all the things I want to talk about because we have just 30 minutes and I want to be sure that I answer all your questions and I help you. So how will it work? How you might be wondering, how will it work? Okay, great. Someone just said they also homeschool their kids, but sadly it's showing Facebook user. So you can kindly just type your name so people can see it and probably might want to also ask you questions on how that works for you. So you can see we have someone right here who homeschools their kids. So while you're wondering that, is this possible? People are out there doing it already. So if you want to start, you might be wondering, how do I even start? Okay, how do I do this? How do I homeschool children? So there are different types. There are some people who homeschool their kids just on the preschool level. So they ensure that the kids know all that they need to do while they are in preschool, so that when they get them to school, they put them in nursery. Then we have other families who homeschool their children on the nursery level. So from preschool to nursery. When it's time to primary, they'll put the kids in the primary school. Then there are others who homeschool from preschool straight down to primary. Then when it's time for secondary education, they send the kids to school. And then we have others who homeschool preschool, nursery, primary, and secondary school, and then send the kids for tertiary education. And that can work. You might be wondering, how would that work? The only thing you need to consider is one, a school that will accept them. And most schools do. How would they accept them? Remember the external exams. So you're talking about the common entrance, the one written in primary school. You're talking about the junior WAEC, is that what it's called? You're talking about then the WAEC, NECO, and all of that. So they have to write all of these exams. And it's usually not hard. All you need to do is prepare your child for it. And in preparing your child for it, it means you need to have the curriculum. So you should have the curriculum, the Nigerian curriculum for preschool, for nursery, for primary, for secondary. If you have all of that, you prepare your child well. When you're done with their primary education, all they need to go do is go to that school. You can just go to any school that accepts kids, and most schools do, as long as your child is ready. Your child writes the common entrance, and voila, you have your certificate, your child's certificate of going through primary school, and that child was homeschooled. I know I love homeschool. I mean, maybe because I'm very big on multisensory teaching, right at home. I mean, they are learning deep things and it's so real. And this is very beneficial for children with dyslexia. So just ensure, like I said, just ensure you have the curriculum, okay? And yes, you can get the curriculum from the Ministry of Education. You can, and I think it's really cheap. When I got the one for 2019, I think it was just about 1,500 naira. Yes, it was just about 1,500 naira. I don't know how much that is now. I got it for primary school. Yes, so you can get the curriculum. You can have access to the curriculum, and you can homeschool your child. Just ensure that they write the external exams that is required for them to write in primary and in secondary education. Okay? So now you need to remember that when it comes to children with dyslexia, there is a curriculum that the school doesn't have. Remember, your child with dyslexia has reading issues. So there's usually a curriculum, a special curriculum for your child with reading issues, which the regular curriculum doesn't have. And that is why even when kids are in regular schools, we still go in and offer reading intervention. So even as much as you get the Ministry of Education's curriculum for Nigerian education, do not forget that your child is dyslexic and therefore needs another curriculum that will focus on the reading situation. Okay, and if you're wondering how, there's something called the structured literacy program. And if you're on my Telegram group, we've been looking at Stephen Parker's book, okay, teaching a preschooler to read. And it uses the synthetic method. And the synthetic method is a systematic method, which can also be said to be the structured literacy method for teaching children how to read. So that's one step. Okay, so you can get that book. It will take you on a step-by-step way on how to teach your child how to read. And it is quite an amazing book because he's a parent who has done that before. So he has explained it well in that book. And just in case you're wondering, will I understand the book? We have, should I say, a reading club? Yes, on the Telegram group, we're reading that book together. We did chapter 1 on Thursday. We're going to continue through chapter 2, and by Thursday, we're going to get into chapter 3. Okay. Also, I run a training, a dyslexia training that teaches you how to teach children with dyslexia. This one um, is more intensive, yes, because it talks to you about what dyslexia is, how children with dyslexia see, low self-esteem, all of that, down to how to teach a child with dyslexia how to read. It takes you on the structured literacy method, and our training doesn't stop there. It also focuses on comprehension, because reading is just one aspect of your dyslexia intervention. The child has to comprehend what they are reading. So we have classes on comprehension, courses on comprehension, and courses on writing. Now that your child can comprehend, can read, can your child express themselves in thoughts? So all of that is what is incorporated in the dyslexia training that we run. So if you're interested in that, just drop a message in the comment section and we will reach you after that. Okay? So, if you decide to start teaching your child with dyslexia at home, what would it look like? Well, the first thing is that it will look impossible, because I mean, you're not a teacher, so you're wondering, how will this be? It will look impossible. But believe me, it is not impossible. And I love what we read, what we went through as we're reading Stephen Parker's book. Okay, he was saying that as long as you can read as an individual, it is very possible for you to teach someone else how to read. All you need to do, all you need is a guide. That is very true. All you need is a guide. It is very possible. So at first, it's going to look impossible. I mean, I'm bringing school home. How can I bring school home? How is that even possible? How can I bring school home? But remember, like I said, you don't have to be the one teaching as a parent. Okay, you can employ a tutor who teaches. And educators, you can see, just in case you have a parent who wants their child homeschooled but doesn't have the time. They'll be out there looking for someone who can homeschool their child. Are you ready? Can you homeschool a child? So, and then it will require your time and discipline. You know, school is discipline, right? You need to be in school at a particular time. There is time for eating, there is time for playing, homework, and all of that. You have to structure all of this at home. You need to have a schedule. So you can't say, oh, okay, let's do class today, 10 a.m. Then tomorrow, let's do class today, 4 p.m. Ah, today I'm tired, though, we cannot have class. Oh, today, you're going to visit your aunt, no class. No, there has to be discipline. Okay, so it will need your time. It will need you to schedule that time. It will need your discipline. So you need to have, if it's evening school, you can say our school is from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. If it's morning school, our school is from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. And you're going to have a schedule. We're going to learn, have a dyslexia intervention from 7 to 7:30, home economics from this to this, numeracy from this to this. You're going to go on a break. When you come back, we're going to do this to this, this to this. This is your homework. This is when school is going to end. Remember, it is school, but just that it is at home. And have an area for learning too, okay? Have an area for learning. You know, Mrs. Yinkere is talking about the time. Truly, time can be an issue. But I also love what Stephen said, that you have to just make the time. You have to just find a way to make it. And 2 hours, you can decide to focus on 2 hours, and that can also work for you. Remember, I always say it is not how far, but it is how well. The good thing about homeschooling is that nobody's running after you. So whenever your child is ready for the common entrance, they will go write the common entrance. So you can decide to have 2 hours every day, 3 hours every day. You can decide to make school Monday to Sunday, 1 hour every day. But just ensure that you're covering all that the curriculum needs to cover. Then thirdly, you would need to be trained. Remember, I'm talking to educators and I'm also talking to parents. You need to be trained, especially on the dyslexia training. Of course, for The other subject like home economics, biology, you can just pick up a textbook and study it. Thank God for Google. Thank God for videos. You can learn anything. I don't exactly love math, but I had this child who were uh, having intervention for, who has math issues, dyscalculia. I had to go and learn math. So each time he's taught a particular subject in math, I have to go and learn it. And while learning math, I was like, wait, this isn't even hard. Why did our teachers make us feel mathematics is so hard? Because I'll go on YouTube, I'll watch the videos step by step. So right now I'm teaching mathematics. I never loved mathematics in school, but right now I am teaching it. So you don't need to say, oh, I didn't love home economics. Oh, I didn't love mathematics. Oh, I didn't love this. How can I teach it? With YouTube, with Google, with textbooks, you can become a pro at it and you can teach your child with dyslexia. And remember, for children with dyslexia, we're talking about multisensory, hands-on. And that's why I love homeschooling, hands-on. In school, they won't have this time for your child. They're at home, hands-on. So you need to get trained. You can self-train yourself with the other subjects. But when it comes to dyslexia, you need a professional, okay? Because remember, your child with dyslexia needs that intervention on reading. And I love what Stephen Parker said. So he said, children who have difficulties learning how to read, as they grow older, it affects self-learning. It means that they can't self-learn it on their own because they can't read. So self-learning becomes hard. Remember, if you can't read, there's just sometimes it puts a limit to what you can know. So ensure that even as much as your child is going through the regular curriculum, okay, your child is still going through the dyslexia intervention because your child is dyslexic. Remember, what we are focusing on today is on children with dyslexia. Oh wow, Jimmy likes math. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for you. And then get ready for non-traditional method of learning. So don't think that it's going to be a regular school. I'm talking to people who are going to be tutoring children with dyslexia. Don't think it's going to be, you're going to sit, face the book. You know how they sit in schools? No, non-traditional methods. Okay, your home is your classroom. So while you have a corner where you learn, you can explore other learning methods, other things that they can learn. If you're teaching about science, make it practical. If you're teaching about food, great, you have food at home. If you're teaching about hygiene, make it real. They can wash clothes. In fact, you can say today is a practical class. You're washing your clothes, you're making your bed, you're cleaning the house. Today is biology, you're doing this, you're doing that. Make it very practical. So get ready for non-traditional method of learning, okay? All right, and always remember that you cannot be teaching and be doing something else. So it's not like you say, okay, do this math problem, and then you go and be cooking. Scaffolding is very important in teaching children with dyslexia. You need to be there to ensure that they are taking it step by step, to ensure that there are no mistakes. Usually, when you're teaching children with dyslexia, I'm going to do this on a different 30 minutes of dyslexia with Blessing. You need to ensure that there's what we call errorless teaching. You don't wait for them to make the mistakes. You're always there to ensure that as you see them making a mistake, you correct immediately. Because when they make that mistake, so for instance, let's use handwriting. You're teaching a child how to write, and you went off and you're doing something else. By the time you're back, they wrote the wrong thing. Maybe they formed the letter wrongly over 2 pages. What you have done is that you have taught that child the wrong thing unconsciously. You have reinforced that that is how that wrong letter should be written, because the brain is not taking if it's right or wrong. The brain is just taking the knowledge that is coming. So the more the child writes the D, let's assume it's D, the more the child writes D in the wrong way, the more the brain gets to accept it. Oh, okay, this is D. So by the time you're back, you're saying, oh, this is not correct. You have already taught the brain that that's how to write D, because the child was comfortably writing it. So you need to be there. When the child makes a mistake, no, hold on, is that correct? Can we think about that? So you can't teach and be in the kitchen. because it's homeschooling. You have to be there, right there in the home classroom. Okay. All right. So, like I was saying, I already said this as I round up. I was talking about alternatives. It doesn't mean that you have to homeschool your child by yourself as a parent. Okay, you can get someone who can homeschool your child. It's just that here in Nigeria, it's quite hard to get someone that you can trust. But in the future, we are going to have a platform or a group where if you need people to homeschool your kids, we can give them to you, we can give professionals to you. Because the way the world is going in 2021, it looks like it doesn't look like when it comes to online learning, it looks like it's something that will have to continue for a very, very long time. I'm sure you can see from things that are happening. Another wave coming, another wave not coming, children going back and forth and really not learning. So if you have a child with dyslexia, all the back and forth can really affect that child. And I would recommend homeschooling. Now, even if you're not going to homeschool your child with dyslexia, you need to give them that dyslexia intervention. It is necessary. So you can say, oh, no, Blessing, that homeschooling thing, we're not ready for it now. God is our strength. But if your child is dyslexic or has reading issues, there has to be an extra class that focuses on teaching that child how to read. And I'm not talking about home lesson. This is not home lesson. This is not home lesson. This is not lesson teacher. A dyslexia issue is not a lesson teacher issue. It's a reading issue that needs an expert. Okay. All right. So I'm 2 minutes gone already out of our time, but I want to believe that you got value from this short time that we have spent together. And this is not the end of it. Throughout this month and February, we're going to be talking in depth about homeschooling. I'm even going to bring in people. We have someone here who indicates that they homeschool their child. So I'm going to also reach out to her. And we're going to have people share their experience of how this works. Okay, because the future, it's going virtual. The future is going online. And if you're not comfortable with online learning, if you feel your child cannot learn online, then it means you have to find a way to teach your child by yourself. And you can do it. And I'm sure as we bring people here who are already doing it, they will inspire you. And some of these people who are doing it also work as parents. And it's not only for mothers. Stephen Parker, who homeschooled their children, is a man. So don't say, oh, this is just for my wife. Oh, this is just for my wife. Stephen Parker is a man and homeschooled all their kids. So it is something you can do. This is just an intro. Just make sure you're here for all of the series that we're going to have on homeschooling. And I'm sure by the end of February, you should be able to help your kids. And you don't have to start homeschool fully. And we're going to look at that. You can start step by step, okay? Bit by bit. And before you know it, you're doing it. All right, thank you all so much for being here. Okay, there are some of you is showing Facebook user, so I don't really know your name, but thank you for those joining us in Lagos, in Benue, in Abuja. Thank you, Mrs. Yinkere. Thank you, Doshima. Thank you, Jimmy, who joined us on YouTube. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And for others who are here, but I can't see you, I want to thank you for being here with us. So what did you learn? What is that one thing that you learned? Just drop it in the comment section as I say my goodbyes. Bye.